What's up everyone, Jonas here for Thomann synthesizers. In today's video I want to break down the essentials of creating a reggaeton / new Miami bass inspired track. In this tutorial I will cover everything from drums, chords, vocals and of course bass. So while checking the track of the year list by Resident Advisor, I noticed that there are some tunes are coming from this genre, and the best tune of last year 2022 was coming from Nick Leon, and I was listening a lot of his music and related artists such as DJ Python, and I think there is a really interesting movement coming from this genre, including different styles becoming one. So it's a kind of merger of different chords, bass lines and the groove structure that makes me really excited about listening to this kind of new established genre which came up maybe like 2, 3, 4 years ago, but this genre like recently really popped up, and I think it's really interesting and exciting what's happening there. Without further ado, let's jump right in and let's start with drums. While listening, I noticed that in this genre there are different kind of kicks used. So there's this really punchy heavy one when it's a little bit speed up, so it's more focused for the dance floor, but I want to create a kick drum which is just there, you know, you can recognize it, and it has a little bit of room left under it, so we can use a bass line afterwards. For this one I'm using my go-to drum machine, the Nord Drum 3P, and I have set up different channels here, but we want to create a kick drum, and I think this one could be useful as a kick drum. So let's adjust some parameters here. So we have a not so overloaded kick drum, let's say. Maybe shorter decay. And actually I don't like the bending of the tone. So let's increase this one here. Yeah, this one seems to be pretty nice. Let's increase a little bit of the attack click. Next up, let's create a percussion sound that we can place at the reggaeton groove, which can be a kind of a snare or tom. This percussion in particular is tremendously important for this genre, because the whole groove and the whole rhythm and structure is depending on the pattern of this percussion, and there is not one sound in particular you have to use it. It's more about the placement of the drum in itself. But I think something with a little bit of noise, a little bit of transient is pretty nice to place it on this position in the groove. So let's check what we have here. And I think this one is pretty nice. Perhaps a little less decay of the tone, and a little less decay of the noise of the second layer of the top layer, because there's like different layers we can create our drum here. I think we have a nice texture and a nice body, so that we hopefully can use this percussion to cut through in the mix, but I like the character of it as well. So we get our two main drum elements, but the genre is most of the time made up of a little more answer-question relationship. So let's create another layer. It adds a lot to the rhythm overall. I had in my studio the original JD800, and there was one preset I liked so much. I was hoping that on the boutique version they have this preset and they have it. And I like it so much because you have a nice thick body you can use as a bass, as a tom, but also you can play it with different notes, and it's working a lot. So let's check it out. Let's now jump into my Ableton project to check out the groove and rhythm. And I've set the project to 115 BPM, and to push the kick a little bit, I've added just slight sine wave on top. It's called Erosion by Ableton. So let's have a listen to it. And the overall groove is coming from the percussion. It can be, of course, a tom, snare, something wooden like a stick. It doesn't matter actually, because the genre is kind of open to a lot of influences, in my opinion. But it's inside the rhythm and the groove of this percussion here. You know, this extremely shuffled. So the whole soul, the whole, let's say, sex inside the rhythm, because it's coming from South America. It's really, captivating and groovy. So just an example how the syncopated would be like. So it's not, there's no feeling at all. So actually we need this extreme shuffled to have this genre and groove going on, to break up the groove for once a little bit and then coming back to it, to make it a little bit bigger and higher frequencies. Like this, it's working well, but I need more answer and question relationship. So therefore, on the first beat, I've added the percussion coming from the JD 800, or the boutique version. What is the question? I think it's coming always at the end of our sentences. So when all of the main drum elements already appeared, then we have to make a slight variation and state our answer question. Then of course we need the answer. And of course, it wouldn't be a bass tune without the bass line. So I think it's pretty easy when we want to create a kind of wobble, low frequency bass line to use a VST synthesizer. Sometimes massive, but in this case I'm using zero. We have the overall answer on the chord as the last here. It's going down. And this one is chopped up a little bit here to match the rhythm of the drums. Actually, it's nothing difficult. We can check. I've used a square wave, and I've put a little bit of unison on it with the 6 and detuning. And the LFO is doing pretty much the work here, is our power horse, let's say, because I've connected it to various destinations. Cutoff of our filter is in the shape of a sine wave, and it's changing the rate with the note. And the sub oscillator is turned to a square wave as well, and the LFO is connected to the level of the sub, to the level of the oscillator, and the cutoff of our filter, and that's basically it already. So let's have a listen to it again. A lot of tracks of this genre are really dreamy and floaty, and of course we can achieve this by chords. I think it's also kind of necessary to determine how we would like the chords to sound like. And for this one I'm using the boutique version of the JX 8P. It's called JX08, and it's a kind of, yeah, let's say 90s synthesizer, or the replica of a 90s synthesizer, but in my opinion, it was never that famous like the JD or kind of FM synthesizers. It's like the lesser known Roland synthesizer of the 90s, perhaps. So let's start. Here we have the first oscillator, kind of plain. It's saw wave. We can take it up different ranges, but I think 8 is fine. So let's use the square. Use the second oscillator in our mixer section here, and we can also use different waves, the same as the first oscillator. So let's use the square as well. And if we detune it a little bit, we have the fake of a unison, I would say, because there's no real spread, but there you have it. It's nice and thick. And here we have the chance to use the chorus, like 2 different choruses. And now let's use Ableton to send some chords inside it. So I want to achieve an overall kind of sad vibe, not too sad, but yeah, kind of sad. And I came up with the A minor scale. Listening to this genre, I noticed that there are different kind of vocal arrangements, and some of them are coming from the Latin American Spanish side, and some of the vocals are more like really dreamy and big and floating, and I want to create something like this. For the vocal, I'm using a sample from a dear friend of mine, and I'm running it through the Perform VE by TC Helicon, which is a vocal effect unit, and you have different settings, and I like to use the morph, double and echo on it. So let's have a listen to the vocal, and let's use the effect now. And I really like the filter on it, and perhaps a little bit of stutter on the effect. Alright, I think we collected all the most important stems for a track of this genre. I will remain here and jam a little bit to complete the whole track, and in case you have any ideas and thoughts regarding this genre, then put it down in the comment section and I will get back to you. So thanks again and see you next time.